Hey Michelle, so I'll show you Seb's session for today. It's Thursday, and I'll run you through the whole lot. Hopefully he shows a few things that need to be worked on and kept in check, so it's not just when he's going well, but obviously also once he, when he makes mistakes, how to correct it. There's a new sand pile that's just been put there this morning, so we'll see if he has any reaction to that. I walked him past it just before and he didn't seem to care, but trotting and cantering might be different. Alright. And I'm just riding him with a whip and no spurs. I'll do that for each video. But essentially for him, like the main thing is that whenever, if I was to say his main problem, it's finding that sense of purpose in terms of where to guide his energy. He's not that crooked or anything anymore, but still just trying to keep the flow of energy going where you want it to be, and really making sure that how we use the reins is, contact is good, that should be stable, but when he grabs on the rein or one rein, you need to be able to half halt him off it, not hold. And so you've got to be kind of able to half halt him, within the contact that you've got. So it's not too much of a change, but feel the support of the contact, and then just, for me, it's just a little of your fist, probably the best way to do it. And you can like the fist, but you need to be able to vibrate your fist without getting on your elbow. That's key. If he does, he can do is just be something, or if we accidentally hold, he can just grab onto the rein and really push his nose out. Oh, he hates this white thing, this white little electrical box there. If he does yank on the bit and go out, sometimes you can really feel it. It doesn't happen that quickly, but that's not a time for you to be holding as firm as you can. You actually, in those bits, allow your arm out, not quickly, but allow to go with him. But the situations sounds a little bit a little bit tough, but essentially if he does really reach, I'll see if I can make him I'll do some small steps past this. No, so sometimes that will make him, is when he's a bit spooked or something. If you contain him a bit more with smaller strides, that's when he wants to grab on both parts of the bit. But if he does do that, sometimes he'll do it when it's a bit windy like this. He doesn't like this long side as much. Good. So sometimes he does it. He probably won't do it today, but if he did, essentially what I do is allow my arms to go out with him, and I really say stop, and I actually go like this, head down, and like a bolt stop, and I say no, don't, because he really grabs out like that, and it's just too hard if you go back. So you just literally just go left hand on the wither, right hand back, and just be like, no, don't grab on the bit, back to that, and then continue on. And that works really well, because he hasn't done, that used to lead into a rear. Now the residual is just occasionally that kind of grab out of the bit, which is fine. That's, normal parts of training. All horses have their things. Good boy. So in the walk, I just try and really focus on the two channels that I create, the channel between my legs and the channel between my reins. And as much as we want to think of riding the horse from behind, we definitely do. We want to ride from our leg to the rein. The connection also exists around too. There's a connection back to front as well. What we have to focus on is there's a channel between our reins, guide the shoulders. And if I make an example with some square corners, we want to make sure that he stays with his shoulders to the left, or to the middle of my hands from my right rein. So for example, if he drifts a bit like this, then I go up into the corner with my right rein, up into the corner of his mouth, but I don't let my elbow change. If he drifts out like this, then I go no, keep my outside elbow back into the middle, and then apply a little calf aid if I can. If he's a bit joggy, then you might find it's hard to apply your calf aid, but when he's like this, it's fine. He's got naturally a pretty quick walk at the start anyway. Good. So really focusing on that channel between your reins, and then the channel that exists between your legs. You can't straighten the horse in the hind legs if you haven't got control of the shoulders. So turns that are really square, that stay really straight in the neck, are a good way to establish the control of his shoulders between your reins. And I can also go the other way. And so what I want it to be is that when I do these turns, or any turn, I want it to just be that I can smoothly take the rein outside in the direction I want it to go. Find, a bit lagging the turn and a bit grabby. That's when I use that vibration, keep my elbow, but a little vibration of the fist to say, hey, listen to that side of the bit. Don't hold on it and fall out. You've got to really respond to it. And that's the key, is whenever you use a vibration aid to say, hey, stay nicer in the contact, half halt in other words, you also really have to focus on what response you're getting from the vibration, that it's not just a lightening of the contact, because that will work for a while, but that you also get him to, say if he falls on your left rein, that when you squeeze that left rein up into the bit, that the inside shoulder becomes a bit more upright again. In other words, it doesn't drift into the left or collapse or whatever it might be that's causing it. Good. Okay, so when I walk him around too, is as much as I like to do those corners and stuff like that, we'll kind of get him a little bit more compact in his body, and in the beginning, if I can get him on the aids, then that's fine to do. But in the beginning, I'd like to do, if we can, so this is that little tricky one, so I really make sure inside elbow, good. Inside elbow, little vibration of the fist, because he doesn't like that. Good. If he gets a little bit joggy like that, then I can just put him on a circle and flex the inside, yield him on the inside leg. So when I flex him, I definitely make sure that my hand doesn't come in. It must not come in, it can come back a little, and correspondingly your outside hand will potentially allow to, but your inside hand comes up into the corner of his mouth. And the key is you use those controls to be able to get your leg on, so that you get nice long strides from your legs, not short choppy strides where he gets a little bit distracted about what's behind him or what he's just gone past or the wavy trees above him. Good. So again, I just got this inside flexion, little vibrations through the outside rein. If I feel him wanting to get long and fall out through the outside shoulder, and inside leg just pushes that left hind under the center of his body. Oh, fell out a little bit there, good. Now you don't always have to do it that long in terms of that many circles. You might get it much quicker than that, but just for the sake of showing, again, good. And we want him to reach out like this, that's better. So as I was saying, is those kind of exercises there, the circles, will encourage him to step through his body and come longer on the outside of his body while still having control, whereas doing square corners and stuff like that will tend to make him be a little bit more compact, which ideally in the beginning of this section we want to do his body as we can and work through the warm-up until as long as we can possibly get him for the warm-up before we take him a bit more connected. That's good. So I could do, just for the interest's sake of, just go a little, because he does get a bit strong on the right rein, so it's good to do the same thing. So see my right hand close to my inside hip, outside elbow maybe comes forward a little if it needs to, and I just push that hind leg under. Good. And the key is that flexion, you have to improve the flexion, but without losing the shoulder to the outside. That's the key. So then often what I do as well in the warm-up is just some leg yields and things like that as well. Anything that involves getting your leg on that that you can push and make him give you longer strides. When you do a turn, like a normal turn, it's flexion, inside leg pushes that hind leg under, a little bit like on that circle we were doing before, so that you go through the turn and you come out of the turn in a nice shoulder forward position, just like what we want in the trot and canter as well. So that we can go turn, good. I'll go turn here, good, making sure that as I flex him, inside hand works up into the corner of his mouth. It doesn't have to be up like this, just the feeling that your fist comes up a little bit. Steady. So here just keep my seat and elbows and just say woo. Both reins, little vibration if he doesn't listen, until he comes back to smaller strides. Good. And across. And anytime, like there where he grabs, just again keep my elbows, little vibration, and then give. And hopefully that when you give, that he, misunderstood that. When you give, hopefully he wants to reach a little bit more into the contact. Sometimes he won't, but throughout the session, he should gradually, when you little give, he should feel reach into your hand. That's different to having a full stretch. So just figure out what he's scared of. So keeping his shoulders on my line, it could be the shadows. No, keep my inside. See if he does one of the Yankee things. This is a very spooky arena, so I wouldn't. So here, as he wants to run away, just good. Both reins, seat bones firmly into his back, and say, don't pull me out of the saddle. Respond. I'll just go there again. Put shadow or something like that. Whatever he's thinking of. Good boy. Good. Good boy. So I really just, above all is really make sure that he does not take over the flexion. And that's really the key, is that you make sure that when you're riding him, that when you ask the flexion, your inside elbow does not come forward. It comes more on the hip. It doesn't get stuck there in a stiff way, but it comes more on the hip, and the hand just squeezes up into the corner of the mouth. Good. I'll do that area again one more time just to make sure, because he has seen. The flexion is definitely a way that you make him more as well, because it's the combination of the flexion and pushing him under that gets him a bit more free, but you have to make sure that as you do that, that you don't lose him out through this outside rein. That's good. That's good. I'll go a bit of leg yield. So just try and keep his shoulders really even between my reins. That's good. That's good. And again, same thing, got to feel really even, not trotting. Seat bones, little rein, good. Well done. That's good. Well, now he's looking at the mounting blocks, which are normally in the middle of the arena. But that's good. Good. Got a little leg yield here. Same thing, just say keep that left shoulder straight. So just make sure that This left elbow here stays in close to my hip, and both elbows drop down, so you really stay relaxed through your shoulder. Good. Still doing what's going on here. Still see there, keep my inside elbow and say no. Good. Inside leg, of course. Every time I say inside rein and elbow, you have to be there with a supporting, at least supporting leg, or potentially an active leg if he requires it. That's good. Then I make sure, okay, down here, can I do some smaller steps? And so for smaller steps, just think a little signal through both reins in general, unless he's obviously heavier on one than the other. Good. And I just keep him on my seat. Good. And then a little calf fade for longer strides. And then again, we're going straight towards the blue tarp here, so it'll be a challenge for the straightness. Good, but he's actually been very good about that. So nice, small, controlled. There he's going against the left. So just, again, really make sure that I can go straight. It really tests, when you do small strides like this, it really tests the control of the shoulders and the hind legs. They get very wobbly because it's really hard for them to do. Mentally, not physically so much once they understand it. They make it harder on themselves by wobbling around, but mentally it's a big challenge to be able to do such small strides, but it's very good because here I'm controlling the shoulders left or right with my left or right rein. Again, always thinking up. Make sure that you've got enough contact. Good. And that he stays between my legs. Little turn. Good. And then bigger. And reach for the rein a bit more. Good. Okay. That's enough walk. And now I feel like when I give the rein that he wants to take it more or less a bit more down. So I really make sure in my transition to trot that it feels like he's travelling forward and not slightly sideways and drifting in like he did there a little bit. That he really feels like he's travelling through the reins and he's not falling left or right. And then it's just my calf fade. Good. That's actually pretty good and pretty light. He's a horse that you have to keep him light. I mean, all horses you do, to be honest, but him especially. He doesn't tolerate stiffness for too long. Oh God. That's okay, that's a different kind of yank. Accept that. So same thing. Okay, so now that we've got the snorts out and whatnot, really start to make sure you can choose whether you want to work on a circle or on the long sides. Always in the warm-up I cut the corners, but I still make sure that he's travelling straight between my aids as best as I can. Making sure that I'm rising to my elbows, and when I want to be a bit stronger, elbow comes up my seat. And again, making sure that that's my seat, but then I've got that little extra as I come around, or where he spooks and say he wants to run here, that I can really go, no, keep my elbows. Little vibration of the fist if he doesn't listen. And really trying to make sure, there's the garbage truck, that's good. Really trying to make sure, so here he feels just a little bit up to that area too. So there he felt before, a little bit shoulders to the left and a little bit hindquarters to the right. What we've got to try and get is the feeling that we can keep the shoulder in our line with, and that he's soft to the inside rein. That doesn't necessarily mean that he's flexed, but that he definitely feels like he's soft, and that the inside hind is travelling through to the middle. If I'm struggling to get the suppleness on the straight line because he is distracted or whatever going on at the end, then the circles can really help. Good. That's better. And I just trot him around like this until I feel like I have nice control between my calves. I want to feel that my calf can always be a supporting aid. There shouldn't be a moment that I feel like I can't use my calf to support his belly. Got to be careful that he doesn't get then behind the leg from it. But, you know, in those moments where they pull or when they run, that's when they pull us out of the saddle and we feel like they don't let us control them with our legs. So I want to make sure that as I come around. That's a spooky bit again. Does not like that. I'll go do it again. I want to make sure that I have him on my calves all the time, even gently support or through the corner. If I can't do it off both legs, then he's not travelling and pushing directly through both legs. It means he's more against one than the other. So if I was to make an example, when I go on this right rein, he feels more against my right leg than my left leg because he pushes against it. So I have to really make sure, there's the mounting blocks, it's very observant. I have to try and make sure, yes, that I can put that right hind leg under his belly gradually throughout the session. It doesn't have to happen straight away. And that left hind leg is actually also travelling forward through my calves. Just because I put the right hind leg doesn't mean we're doing a leg yield off my right leg. He has to stay in the middle. Good boy. Okay, then I'll just see if he wants to stretch a bit. Do some wiggly lines. So straight, keep him doing the don't go on the right hand. Good. Really making sure that that right shoulder majority. And so when I feel he wants to go against the right rein, you really have to stabilise your position and stay rising the exact same through his back no matter what the feeling is, so that your inside leg can still do the work. And that's better. You want to get him to the point where, this is better, where it feels like his neck is not resting against the right rein, but that it's coming into the outside rein. And the outside rein can encourage that feeling through. Okay, I'll do a bit of leg yield. So I try to just think that whatever the neck and back feels like when I do the so there, just having to help a little out. Don't do that again. No. we're going. That's better. Little flexion right. See, I've got my right hand up. Good. I've got longer reins, so my hands are my elbows are a bit further back than what they would be. They're a little bit further back at times than what they would be if I had him more up in the neck. Good. Okay, then I'm shoulder there, but I'm actually going to go on this line here, the quarter line. And again, same thing in the shoulder in. So both legs, both reins, doing different things. Good. Turn. Oh, there, that was that right rein. There's actually a good shoulder in. Inside leg and outside rein create the angle, but inside rein has the crucial job making a begin the knee stayed. Come around the corner, flex a little higher on the inside hand, outside rein, inside leg, and outside leg should just be able to sit there, or also encourage him to be more forward. I can do it on the circle a bit too, and that gives a good feeling. Okay, then I'll let him stretch a bit because that's hard, and he'll want to stretch a bit more after that. Good boy. And he's chewing the bit out, which is nice. Maybe a little bit behind the contact at times, but still good. That's good, really good. I just wait a little bit. If I just keep it steady, he finds his way to it. That will improve. I'll just give him a break. Ooh. What I'll have to show a bit more in another video is more transitions just on the line and things like that. Today is a bit more about just controlling the shoulders and keeping them in the middle and the hind legs through, but then you want to make sure that you can, ride basic transitions within that feel as well. But that feels pretty good, apart like a few distractions, but that's normal. As I said, this arena's very spooky, so if he's a little bit spooky on this arena, then I'm not too concerned, as long as we can work through it. So I guess the difference, the left rein majority of the time feels very easy. The right rein's a little bit more complicated to get, but the more he establishes that shoulder floor position, on both reins, and that shoulder floor position can be with a bit of right flexion, it can also be just straight in the neck, but just that the shoulders sit over the hind leg and that through the corner you can maintain a bit of that feeling. But as long as you can achieve that on both reins, then he'll become more even on both sides. Good. That's a nice long walk. That's probably getting a bit fast, Sid. That's better. Good. Okay. So I really try and make sure too that whatever I do with one rein, if say my outside rein, when I think of the gap between my hands, I try to really feel that never gets bigger. It should never get bigger unless it comes from both reins making it bigger. For example, in a stretch where you might widen the hands both down on the side like that, that's different. That's different to turning a corner and slowly your inside rein comes more and more in because he's falling through the outside shoulder. So that's really the main thing. And if they fall through the outside shoulder, again, it's that, make sure you've got your elbow connected to your hip, which is staying nice and relaxed in its stride through the saddle, up and down in the trot or in the walk forward and back. but that mustn't change, and then that vibration to get him back into the middle. And that's the same for the inside rein if he doesn't. And again, it's usually always corresponds with the support or active support of one of your legs to encourage that energy more through or around again. Okay. Might just go, so here where he feels a bit long, I might just, no, not the best place to do it, it's right towards that spooky area. Anyway, I just gather him up, make sure that as much as I can, it was a pretty bad example, that I control the straightness as I connect him up. If it feels like he's a bit kind of marching on and it feels like he'd run away from my leg a bit as I do the transition, then I could think of maybe doing that work on the circle until he feels more between my leg and rein. If he feels connected enough, I could also just on the straight line work on those smaller strides and just say no, listen, till he feels that he doesn't want to just go forward. Good. Immediately. Good. That's better. Okay, then I can go trotting. And again, that same feeling, if you feel that that the shoulders are falling out to the left, sometimes you can even do a little counter flexion left, and then as you do that, just put your inside leg on, and that will help straighten him through those moments. But really making sure here, we'll do some shoulder in, so inside hand, outside rein, making sure it's coming around. So he came off the wall a little bit. Running a little bit, so just slow. Good. That's better. Stay in the middle. On the right rein, I often have my inside rein just a little shorter. That's good. I'll just circle. Oh, so as I took the circle there, he just came slightly in against my right leg, only slightly. That's good. Well, that was good positioning on the straight line. Good. I'll do that again. This is his less supple side. And then you've got to make sure that when you turn the corner, if he loses his suppleness and falls in, he probably also runs a little bit to the inside just after you correct him with your leg. So you've got to be ready to capture that. Okay, then I'll go canter. When I do my canters on him, actually not on him, on all of my own horses, the first canter transition is always like a transition. I try not to make a big deal out of it or anything. I try to just say, just make sure it's not spooking anything. I try to just make sure that I go along and that I just sit in, even rising into the trot all the way into the transition. Make sure here that don't get off my left, don't get on my left rein. The mistake I made there was that for the sake of having a nice transition, I actually created that one just to show you, but that was what I mean before. Just as I came past here, because it's a bit of a spooky area, you just went down like that. I could have easily ridden him through it, but I wanted to make a bit of an example of what I can do. So there, when I make him rein back, good, same thing, contact, which is the aid, good, well done, no vibration needed there. You listen, So it's not a yank, it's just a vibration. However, when I had to do that bigger one, sometimes it is a bit of a, has to be a bit firmer through that right rein, and you just keep the left rein down on the wither, just to say, do not pull through like that, because you let him pull through like that and there's no, you know, when it's that much pressure, there actually wasn't, I just created that, but normal, like on a time when there is a lot of pressure, there's no amount of nice riding that can get through that. In those stages, you've got to really set a limit. So they're actually tapping with the wicks. He's not listen to there. That's better. Okay. So as I was saying, the only thing that was bad about that other transition, good boy, that was okay because he didn't actually yank. The only thing that was bad about that other transition was that was not as crisp, but he stayed on my line. Okay. Now I've got a bit long reins here, but it actually doesn't matter because he's taking the rein my rhythm of my seat and elbows, and then within that rhythm I can collect it and go, whoa, oh, there he's too lazy. So I asked him to come back and he didn't stay. That's better. Now you don't have to do these forward because they're required. But what you might work on is on the long sides, this shoulder forward position. Oh, there, you didn't want to stay in it. Good. No, don't go. No. You can see, there we go. On the inside leg, but not losing the shoulder. That's better. So you've got to really make sure that ask for flexion, inside leg tells that hind leg to step across, and the outside rein says, but shoulder come around. Then I get that nice, there he had to have a little bit of outside tap because we went too sideways after the turn. So I'll do that again. We want to stay nice and through. Flexion, outside rein. Good. Long side. Good. It's hard to do. Does it more? Good. You'll find it much easier. Okay, now I'll shorten my reins a little bit, even though I'm actually probably about to go to trot soon, but that's just a bit my riding style, is a longer rein sometimes allows for the hind legs to come through, but only if you do it in a certain way. Good. Does a little tap. Good. Back into shoulder fall. There we go. That's nice. That's really nice. Very good turn. Oh, a little spook of the tarp, but that's good. Okay, as I come back to the trot, got to really mind that right shoulder. Whoa. Whoa. Very good. I'll just give him a little break. And just if he gets a bit empty there, give him the rein and just tap him and say forward, take the rein. That's better. So it really has to be like, if he doesn't take the rein, he's got to go forward in the right way. He was moving forward, but he wasn't pushing, so therefore wasn't taking the bit. Okay, I won't give him too big of a break because I'll just do a bit of short right canter. But that's why I like to try and have the trot as much as I can quite loose and travelling to, you know, forward and to the contact in a more slight stretch, so that when I ask for the canter, I'm a little bit in that zone. If he's a little bit tight in the trot, then the canter's a bit tight, and then it's harder to work with. But you do just have to make sure that if you have him longer in the neck into the canter, that you're ready with just little half halts to make sure that he stays still, pushing and working on the hind legs, and he doesn't just fall forward and over, or run a bit. So same kind of thing, I do the transition. I try not to make a big deal of it, just try and make sure, because sometimes he gets really good ones and sometimes he gets a little bit muddled up, and because he's a forward thinking kind of horse, oh, there we're getting a little drift towards the exit. So here he's running, don't let my seat change, and I get him back on my calves again. So little half halts, both reins, until he gets back under my seat. And see, my reins are a bit long, but good. When I feel the contact, I don't pull it back more than that. I just, through my elbows, say no, or vibration, and say, I'm back to it. Okay. When I ask for the canter, try not to let him come off my line. Oh God. No, that was bad on two. One is he ran, and obviously two is that he got the wrong lead. That's better. So that was probably, but again, you know, it's not you don't make a big deal out of it. Okay, this side's a bit harder, so I have to keep remembering that to say no. When he wants to go too long in the neck and be a bit grubby, then really keep my knees back and my elbows, not letting him take my elbows, but just with my, like here if he runs, just be like, no, little woo, give. Again, that vibration through the fist. If I try and do it, be like, no, no, like that. If you could see it a bit closer, trying to make it a bit more obvious. Good, no. I'll shorten my rein a little. Okay. And say, come on. I know, sit on the hind legs, stay in shoulder four. This is where it gets hard. Good. But as he gets stronger, little taps there, but making sure that he doesn't. Good. Right rein, don't. Here, just keep the right flexion and say no. Around the corner, tap the hind leg under a bit more. Good. Well, no. Good. That's better. Making sure that right rein go down or in, support my inside elbow and say no, don't change it, hind leg under. Doing a lot of tap there with the whip until good, until he sits on that hind. So you can still see I lose the shoulders in trying to gain the hind legs under, I lose the shoulder still. So just to be really controlled and aware of myself, that as I say flexion and hind legs under, that's better. Until I can, give. And he stays there, but that's strengthening. Once he's strong enough to do it easily, So these are just all little distractions and things like that we have, that immediately on a less balanced side will make him want to run onto the forehand, and so I have to just, no, that's good. Till I actually feel him. I know it's hard work, Seb, but little taps, good. Oh. That was hard work. Him. Hard feet and me, which is the main thing. It was a bit hard at the start, but then he started to get a bit more self-carriage and find it. But you can still see there's a lot of mistakes there. But he just really has to, we have to just stick at that and try and get him to stay consistently on his hind legs more, so that he develops more strength to just do it effortlessly. And then you can really wanting to stretch out, which is great. Even past this scary thing, he's like, oh, I don't care anymore. Wait, even in the stretch you can still feel the contact and a little vibration. Don't pull on the bit to make the transition back, just squeeze and a little vibration, so there's no backwards element to getting him short. And sometimes you'll see me take my elbows back, but that's take them back until I get to the point of where the contact is. It might sound a bit wrong, but if the reins are loose, then there's always a point in terms of their education where they take contact, and for him it might still be a little bit behind the vertical sometimes, but after a while it will come more and more out. Good, so see that inside rein even here, oh, outside. Inside rein never comes in. As soon as you take, going in is like pulling down. Just pulls on the bars of their mouth. And you've got to really work him, teaching him to hold it in his mouth. No, that's not, to let the bit sit in his mouth versus him, leaning into it. Good boy. And then here, be able to slow him down and be like, no, don't let him. Even the last transition, we can make sure that we go good boring trot. Like, no, you have to stay forward and pushing all the, don't do that. Don't do that. He really wants to walk. No. Stay on my line. Good. Good. So you can see far from perfect, but going in the right direction. And the main thing is that he's tolerating the work, and we are working quite hard, so you know, as long as he's ridden in the right way, it's just an electric book, as long as he's ridden in the right way, he can be worked hard, and he won't do that. The hard part is that he is quite a big, strong, you know, he's a pretty strong, sturdy horse, so getting him to work on his own is not always the easiest thing, particularly in that right canter. It is possible, but not always the easiest thing to do. And if we don't get him to work on his own, that's where he can hold the bit, and that's where, for him, he's not a horse that tolerates being held. So he creates his own problem a little bit until we get through the work and he can just canter more effortlessly. And he has the genetics to do so, so it shouldn't take too long. That'll do anyway for today's session. We'll do it again next session.